day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And you know, one of my fondest memories as a young man growing up was when I was at boarding school. And I used to love just running. The sheer exhilaration of just running and running and running and running. Obviously, I'm a bit old for that now, but at Michael House, which is in the Midlands of KwaZulu-Natal, we had these incredible hills that were just around us, and they were covered in pine trees. And they had these fire breaks between the pine tree plantations. And, I still remember, I can still smell it today, I can still sense it today, that exhilaration of being so free. And I'd be running down these fire breaks between the pine tree plantations and the pine needles underfoot. It was like walking or running on a mattress, and the mist in your face and the dew on your face, and it was just absolutely an incredible experience, which you cannot explain. It's just something that is incredibly special. Why am I talking about this? Well, today we're talking to a man who has totally got to the top of his game when it comes to ultra long distance running. Bennie Roux. And we're going to be talking to him, finding about his life and finding about the races he's run. He's completed 10 Comrades, which means his number for perpetuity is linked to his name. He's an extraordinary fellow. So without further ado, let me get him online. Here we go. Hi, Benny.
G'day, Scott. How are you?
Excellent. Now, look, I know it's about midnight your time, and you've just, in the last few days, completed a huge ultra marathon. I mean, you're just an incredible man. Your stamina is just legend. Now, before we go into why you're in America right now and in Utah right now, what I'd like to do is, and it's what I always do with people that I talk to on my channel on a live stream. You were something like 16 years old in 1994, weren't you? So you're a teenager.
That's correct.
Now, what I'd like to ask you is, can you just tell people who are watching right now what it was like living in South Africa pre-1994 and how it's changed post-1994, just from a perspective of your own points of view?
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Scott,
I can.
Scott, I think.
I can hear you.
Okay, great stuff. Well, back in 1994, nothing changed immediately. It was still pretty much the same. But we did change power, and the ANC got they were in power, but nothing much changed immediately. It was still great back then. It's still great now, but most of us think I think it's only human to think the past were always better. Not everything was better.
Yeah.
A lot of things have changed, and I think South Africa is at a better space right now. Not everything, but yeah. I don't know actually, unless we go into detail in certain points, but I think we're on a better place right now.
Okay, and that's interesting perspective, and I totally respect your point of view. Now, let's get back to your life growing up. So you grew up in South Africa. You're now a married man in South Africa. You've got a family. And you must be missing them madly right now.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get back. Luckily, my flight is today, and although it's a very long flight back, but I can't wait to see my family again.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, before we talk about your current trip and the race that you're involved in, and look, wow, I would love to have been a fly on the wall and watch you run that race, because it's a huge ultra marathon. But let's look a bit back in your racing history. Now, you've run 11 Comrade Marathons, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct, yes.
And you've completed every single one.
Yes.
and okay, just so we get things in perspective, because when we talk about the Comrades Marathon, we think, wow, that's a heck of a long way. It's 55 miles. Yeah. It's 55 miles. Yeah. You just finished a race which was 240 miles. That's about 5 times as long.
I know. It is crazy.
It is absolutely crazy.
Yeah. No, when I think about it myself, I don't think there's any way I did it. But I mean, I did. But I think my brain shuts off around about at mile 70.
Yeah.
And
70. Mine would shut off at 10.
I don't know what happens after that. So I really don't believe that I did it, but I did.
That's fantastic. You know, when I used to do long distance running, which this is back at school when I was a young kid, I used to, in my head, sing a song that I really liked, and it kind of got me just relaxing and got me into the flow. Do you do something like that?
Yeah. No, I have a lot of songs, and I repeat them, and I hate those songs. I wish they were never there.
So which one do you hate the most?
Oh, man, it's silly songs now. I don't even want to tell you, because then that song's going to be stuck in my head again. There's this silly song doing the rounds in South Africa now, and it's got quite a catchy tune.
Yeah.
It's and it's an Afrikaans song. It is terrible, and there's now so many jokes about it. So I don't. Yeah.
So you do the same thing as I used to do, though.
That and counting.
Counting, yes, counting. Yeah. One step, two step, 3 steps.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't it funny how we do the same things generations later? Because I'm an old fart and you're still young, relevant. You know,
thank you.
I have to tell you that back in the early 1970s, when I was, a teenager, I lived in Pinetown, right on the edge of Cowie's Hill. And and the runners used to come up that hill, going up Cowie's Hill, which is a very hard hill, as you would know. And I used to go there and clap them as they went past. And this is pre-Fordyce days. I mean, Bruce Fordyce hadn't really hit the scene, because he hit the scene sort of like in the late 70s for the first time. And of course, he's the best-known Comrades Marathon runner on record. But that was way back then. So tell me, what was the hardest part for you on the Comrades Marathon going down, and then alternately on the going up from Durban to Pietermaritzburg?
Well, normally for me, going down was normally it's that long downhill. It is just before Pinetown, I think.
Marion Hill.
What's it called? Yeah.
Marion Hill is awful.
Keep on. That one hurts when going down. The downhill, actually. And when you didn't look after your legs or you didn't train enough, if you have to walk that downhill, that is even worse.
Wow.
So that hurted the most. Going up, probably Polly Shorts. I don't think it's a tough hill, but just because it's right at the end.
Right at the end, yeah.
It gets to you.
Well, they always talk about the first one to get over Polly Shorts will win.
Yes. It's a funny thing you said. You stayed at Cowie's Hill. My brother actually stays on Cowie's Hill at the top.
It's a beautiful area. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Lovely. We always love to visit him over Christmas time.
Yeah. Now, you have several silver medals with the Comrades Marathon. And that's exceptional. I mean, there are not many people who get a silver medal. And you've also got these other medals. What do they call the Dan something medal, or the Dan Brownlee, or
Bill Rowan.
Bill Rowan, yes. What are they?
Bill Rowan was the first winner of the Comrades Marathon.
Okay.
And he did it in just under 9 hours. So they introduced this medal back in 2000. But they introduced even more medals lately. If you run under 6 hours. So between place 11, 1 to 10 still gets gold. And then from place 11 and running sub 6 hours will get a Wally Hayward medal. That is a gold mixed with silver. And then from 6 hours to 7:30 you'll get your silver, normal silver. Then from 7:30 till 9 is a Bill Rowan. From 9 to 10 is a new medal. I can't remember the name right now. And then from 10 to 11 is a new medal, and from 10 to 11 is still the old bronze, the normal bronze, and then after the bronze, from 11 to 12 is a Vic Clapham medal.
Right.
I also can't remember what Vic did, but but it's cool. I like the new medals. It does make it. You'll see a lot more people now aim for that medal than previously. They'll just go. If they miss one, if they miss whatever, if they miss silver, they just go for 12 hours. Now they have something else to go for.
So, what's your fastest time at the Comrades Marathon?
It is about, I think it's 6 hours 53 somewhere, some small change. I had a great year. Unfortunately, I think I could have dipped under 650. And maybe next year. I'm still deciding what I'm going to do next year. So maybe next year I'll go.
I hope that if you do run the Comrades next year, that we can get you on live. Carry your little mobile phone in your back pocket, and we'll try and catch up with you during the race. I talked about when I was living in Pinetown and I used to go and watch the race. That's when I was still really fit, and I was so tempted to run the Comrades, but I thought, 55 miles? You gotta be joking. It's just too friggin' far. And yet you've just run an ultra marathon over 3 days of 240 miles. And not only that, but you came third in the race, which is extraordinary.
Thanks.
Absolutely extraordinary. Now, before we get to that race, I just want to go back to the Comrades. What inspired you to get into long distance running? Because it seems to start with the Comrades.
It is. I think in South Africa, even if you just start off with the park run, which is a little 5K, but you'll soon progress. It's a natural thing, I think, for the human. Once you conquered 5Ks, the next thing is a 10K. The next thing is a 21K. It just never stops. I think which made it worse for me was that my brother actually did Comrades while he was still in school. So back then you could qualify for Comrades at 18, and my brother had an early birthday in January.
Yeah.
So turning 18 in January, and he did Comrades when he was still at school. So that kind of inspired me to also try one day for Comrades. I did my first Comrades when I was 21, and I think that's between my brothers running and just the natural progression. I always just aiming for something bigger.
Now, one of my the people in the side chat has written, I bet that he sings Damas, hello Damas, my name is Adrianus.
How did you know?
Come on. There you go, Nicky, you got it right. Well, why don't you sing it for us? Come on.
No. I hate that song, but I also love it. That's the song I didn't want to tell you about. How did you know?
How did you know, Nicky? He wants to know how you knew. That is so funny. Cool. That is so funny. Oh, gosh. Now, okay. Getting back to your history of running. You've run a lot of ultra marathons. Take us through the ultra marathons that you've run in the past, because you've run some here in South Africa as well. I think in the Fish River area.
Oh yeah. Well, the Fish River area is actually Namibia. So yeah. I've done that twice now. That's about an 80k, although they advertise it as a 100k.
Right.
But you're allowed to take all the shortcuts in the canyon. So everybody does.
So it's a shorter race.
They even supply you with the GPS file that you track on your phone or watch.
Yeah.
And so the shortcuts are allowed. That's an amazing race. But that is in our neighbor country, Namibia. It's not in South Africa.
Yeah.
Other ultras that I've done was one that's very great and very well known is the Kalahari Ugrabi's Extreme Marathon.
Is that the 400k one?
Race. No, not yet. I'll get to that one.
Okay.
That is 250k.
Yeah.
Over 6 or 7 days. And what makes that one extreme is you carry everything from day one. All your food, all your clothes, all your sleep, your bedding, everything.
So you got like about 40 Ks on your back when you start.
No, we go lightweight and minimal. So you start with about 7 to 11 kg on your back, and that's going very light. I didn't even pack a mattress, so I slept straight on the ground. Normally they would set up camp in a riverbed, so it's soft sand. But still, I regret my decision not to take a mattress. But it's a very special race, very hot in the middle of summer in the Kalahari Desert. Then we have.
Before you go to the next one, how did you go with that one? Where did you come?
Oh, I got first place.
Oh well, you are so. You just don't blow your own trumpet, do you? You came first in the race and you don't mention that. I mean, wow. Amazing. Well done.
No,
so, what was the next one? Sorry, guys. We're just trying to... I think we lost our connection here. We'll just keep...
Oh, come on.
Okay, you're back. Okay, I hope you're all enjoying this. We're just waiting for Benny's connection to restart. and then we'll continue with our discussion. If it doesn't reconnect in a second, I'm going to reconnect or cut off and try connecting to him again. Okay, let's just connect to him again. Hi, Benny.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, look, it was a poor connection. We're back again, so that's fine. So, yeah, tell us what... Right. Carry on with what you were saying.
Shucks, remind me, where were we?
We were talking about your that thing where you came first. That race where you were just sort of like
the Kalahari.
Yeah, the Kalahari, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't really I don't ever mention my positions. I know the sponsors like it, but I try to stay humble. Running is a very humble sport. The moment you think you're on top of your game,
you land on your ass.
You'll get humble. Yeah, so I try to stay very humble.
Yeah, well, look, I was looking through your sponsors, and you got some amazing sponsors. So you're obviously very highly rated. No. So before we talk about the next level of race, how does your wife and your kids think about this? I mean, are they into sport? Do they feel like, hey, Dad, we want you at home? What do they say?
Luckily, my wife is very supportive. She's also a runner, and that makes life much better for both of us.
Oh, fantastic!
Like this year, I didn't do the Comrades, and she actually went and got her 3rd medal. Oh. So I'm very proud of her, and she's a good runner and very strong and stubborn. But yeah, well, if it wasn't for their support, I think I would have stopped long time ago.
Yeah.
They allow, well, mostly my wife, allow for me to live my dreams.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. I mean, that is a lovely thing to hear. Now, we've talked about your Kalahari race. Let's talk about your next race, this 400-kilometer race. Tell us about that.
The 400-kilometer race, a friend of mine, Eric Vermeulen, got this idea. I don't know where, but he kind of asked what would be possible to run after I did my first 100-miler in Port Elizabeth called the Addo.
Yeah.
No, we sort of came up with a number that 400 kilometers would be possible in 5 days. And I, for a long time, didn't believe that I would ever enter.
But it would take me 6 months.
He kind of pressured me into this, and I'm not looking back. No regrets. That race changed my life. But the closer we got to the race, I wanted to pull out, but I didn't know how to tell Eric. And I was really scared, and I was scared of getting lost at night, running into whatever wild animals in South Africa, and I don't know, and whatever. But yeah, I think I got over it because there was other friends of mine like Nikki Boyens, who she's a little badass, and she doesn't give up, and just because she stood at the start line, I also pitched up, and yeah, the rest is history. The first year I took it super slow because I didn't know what to expect.
Where is the race run? What is the track? Whereabouts?
It's just outside Belfast from what's that place? Larkin Flay. It's like a holiday resort.
Right.
It's beautiful. And you are always on the back roads or some plantation roads, jeep track, single track. It also includes the whole Fani Botha Trail, which is lovely. It is one of the best trails in South Africa.
Now, I've got to ask you, do you actually get to enjoy that while you're running? I'm sorry, guys. We seem to have got a pork in. Yep. Do you actually enjoy that while you're running? The views, I mean.
Oh wow, yeah, the views. Actually, on these longer races, we do go a whole lot slower. You'll see it in the pace.
Yeah.
And so on these longer races, you do get time to stop. You have massive walking legs going. Well, you'll probably walk straight through the night sometimes.
Yeah.
And not run unless it's really runnable at night. Because at night it is difficult to run at night. Your brain just shuts down, and you have a little headlamp on your head. So you do slow down a lot. So sometimes at night it's much easier to just walk. But during day, when you see a nice spot, you do pull out your camera and take a few pics. So on these long, slow races, you do have time to enjoy the views.
I see some of the ultra marathon runners have GoPro cameras that they carry on them, and they actually film what they're doing. Do you do something like that?
No, I've never. I don't even own a GoPro. I borrowed one once to try something, but it didn't work for me. So no, I'll never go that far. I'll just take a few pictures.
I think you should get a GoPro. I think you should actually film part of your journey, especially when it's these beautiful views as you're running. I think that'd be absolutely phenomenal. But that's my point of view.
It would. Yeah, some people really do a great job at that, and I love watching their videos. I mean, for instance, for the Moab race, I had a very good idea of what to expect, just because this one guy had made, it's a long video. It's over 2 hours.
Yeah.
Of the route, and we was at certain spots, and he kept on charging his batteries on the go and at 8 stations. So that's quite incredible. It's nice. I'm glad there are guys that do that, because it certainly helps to grow the sport and to for other runners who wants to do the race and to see the terrain and what's going on. So it's quite nice.
So that's probably the longest race you've run in South Africa, isn't it? That 400k race.
Yeah.
And where did you come in that race?
I also come first.
Hey guys, I also came first. I never came first in a long distance running race and competition. And this guy said, oh well, yeah, I also came first. I mean, that's quite phenomenal. Okay, so now, was that the last ultra long race that you've run before the race you've just run in Utah?
Yes, that was in April this year.
Yeah.
And we got some bad news. They cancelled the race for next year, but seems like they'll get everything back going the following year, 2021.
Right.
So I'll have to look for something else next year. But I've got an interesting story for you. We were on our way to run the 400k Gobi Ultra in China this year. It was in August, so we got this invite, me and Nikki, to go and run the Gobi. They invited us with 3 entries. We only had to get there on our own. So we booked flights, booked trains, booked hotels, got the visa, everything. And 2 days before our flights depart, we got a phone call from the organizer and said that the race is cancelled for all foreign nationals. So
What?
Also no media allowed. And so the race still went on with only the Chinese running. And you couldn't even track the race because no media was allowed. Yeah, it was devastating because we've been training like for 3 months just for that race. And then it got cancelled.
Do you know why they did that?
No, that's the interesting part. I think that's how China operate. They don't give you reasons. They just say no.
Yeah, it's an autocracy.
But even the race organizer, he's not a Chinese national. He wasn't even allowed to attend his own race.
Oh, you're
so
joking.
All his crew and his people working for him had to carry on with the race. They still had like 50 Chinese runners who did the race, and the race was still going on, and they had their race, but we weren't there. We weren't allowed. That was quite devastating.
Absolutely awful. Now, one of the things that I've picked up is that if you run 3 ultra marathons over, I think it's 200 kilometers in a year, you get a special recognition. Now, are you going to be able to do that this year?
Wow, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, apparently.
Tell me more.
Oh, well, I saw this on YouTube. I can send you the link after the live stream, but if you do 3 ultra marathons which are over, either it's 200 miles or 200 kilometers in a year in a 12-month period, you get recognized with a special award, and very few people have done it. Now, you've done 2 already this year.
Wow.
You just need a
I
third.
I didn't even know about it. I'll look it up.
Well, like, I'll send you the link, and you can hear this guy talking about it.
Oh, wow. Please do.
Wow. Okay. Now,
I was actually planning on taking a long break.
After this last race, I bet. Now, talking about these races, okay, if I run 10 Ks, I start getting blisters on my feet. Now, isn't that the curse of ultra long distance running?
It is. It's definitely, and I also in this last race got a few blisters, but I'll tell you, I've completed the Munga, South Africa, 3 times without 1 or 2 blisters. I tell you, I think it's a combination of strong feet and how you look after your feet makes a huge difference. So change your socks often, keep them dry, keep them clean. If there's a problem, fix it immediately. There's a couple of rules. You have to look after your feet and take care of your feet. Otherwise, it's game over if you run in too much blisters. There's some horrible pictures that I can share with you of other runners on the Bunga. Yeah.
And they just kept going.
Yeah. Now, so, take care.
I have to tell you that I've been to Fiji many times. That's in the Pacific Islands. And the Fijians walk around in bare feet. And their feet are like, they're like rubber. You know, they're so thick that just nothing impacts on them. They can walk on stones, they can walk on anything, and it's like they're just walking on a piece of sand. And it's quite incredible to see these guys. And I'm just wondering, with a long-distance runner, what they should be doing is actually not wearing any shoes and going over rough terrain with their feet, just to build up that strength in the bottom of their feet.
It does help. It does help. It does help to be a lot to do some of your runs barefoot and to
Do you do that?
for instance sometimes on track I will run barefoot. I also have barefoot shoes
Yeah.
that I use on track, and that does help to make to get your form correct, and also to make your feet stronger.
Right.
That helps a lot. Yeah, it helps.
Yeah. You know, when we talk about barefoot running, there's one image that always comes to mind, and that is Zola Budd. Remember when she ran in the Olympics in that American, I'm not going to use the B word, but she basically tripped her up and then pretended that Zola Budd had actually caused the accident when Zola Budd was in front of her, and you can never be to blame if you're actually in front of another runner. And to hear those people in the stadium booing Zola Budd as she ran around, I mean, what a devastating thing to do to a girl who's a teenager. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
That was just shocking.
Yeah, I was probably 6 or 7 years old. Yeah, I was very, very young at the time it happens. But yeah, I know Zola personally, and what a great legend, what a great ambassador for South Africa.
Absolutely. You know what I'd love you to do is to ask Zola to contact me. I would love to have her on a live stream, because
sure,
she is such an inspirational lady, absolutely amazing. And you know, she never kind of took it into the gutter knowing that she was actually the innocent party. She just and this American woman who was saying, she tripped me up and this, that, and the other. It was just, I was beside myself at the time.
No, that was terrible.
It was absolutely shocking. I've forgotten her name, and it's forgettable. So let's not worry about it.
Mary Decker.
Mary Decker. That's right. Yeah. Mary Decker. Yeah.
Decker.
Yeah.
No, I won't get that name either.
Oh, jeez. But Zola used to run barefoot the whole time, and what a magnificent runner she was. Really, absolutely exceptional. Okay, now let's get back to you, because you're now in the US, and when did you actually arrive in the US for this race, the Moab race?
It was on Tuesday afternoon, around about 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And the race started the following Friday at 7 a.m. So I had just enough time to climatize and to rest and to get used to the time zones. Although the time zone didn't, the jet lag and the time zones didn't really bother me that much, because being awake at night is actually an advantage in a race like this, and being sleepy during day won't really influence me that much. So, yeah.
So how long have you actually been in the US now?
It would be just over a week, 10 days. Yeah.
Okay.
10 days, maybe. Yeah.
And the race started what, about a week ago?
Yeah. What is today? Saturday. Yesterday, 7 a.m. was exactly a week ago.
So you had about 2 days to recover from a trip to America to get ready for the race.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, so take us through what actually happens. Okay, we aren't talking about a Comrades Marathon, which is just a piddly little 55 miles. We're talking about a ultra marathon that takes you through gorges and canyons and remote areas all over Utah, which is 240 miles, which is something like 5 times as long as a Comrades Marathon, which goes for 3 days. So, now, first of all, how many people participated who actually started the race?
Well, I think they had about 140 entries.
Yeah.
And I think they had about 120 runners starting the race. So that's quite big. It's a very big field. I mean, the race back in South Africa struggled to get 20 entries. So, yeah, all of a sudden we were 120 on the start line. That was amazing. Um, and the finish rate was also quite phenomenal, which I couldn't believe. It was about 75 runners finished the race.
Wow. How many? What was it? What? How many days did it take the last runner to get in? Was it like still 3 days?
No, it was just under 5 days.
Wow.
The cutoff is actually just under 5 days. Yeah.
So someone was running on the track for 5 days.
Yeah, but I think you'll find that they spend a lot of time in the aid stations. There's some aid stations that has
that's where you rest.
Nice warm tents with mattresses, so they can sleep for a couple of hours. I spent my 70 hours. I only spent 30 minutes in one tent and another 45 in another tent. So I slept for a total of an hour and 15 minutes in total for 70 hours of running.
Oh my gosh. So what was your time from start to finish?
From start to finish, my race time was something like 70 hours and 22 minutes.
So you must have been doing about 4.2 miles per hour.
That's the average. So you'll always run at a bit faster pace, but with all the stops in between.
That's what I mean, with the stops and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing. Over 240 miles. I mean, you can't walk at 4.2 miles per hour.
Well, yeah, I think if you race walking or you walk with a purpose, then...
Yeah, but over 240 miles. That's incredible. So now you arrive at the start, and I guess they have like a bit of a start as someone gets up there and talks to everybody who's running and has a bit of inspirational talk and stuff like that.
It's funny. The girl that the race director, Candace Bird.
Yeah,
she's quite a badass. She just say, repeat after me. If I get lost, and then the crowd goes, if I get lost, if I get hurt, if I die, it's my own damn fault. Yeah. But prior to that, the day before, we have a proper race briefing, going through all the rules, going through all the safety requirements, and so they do take the race very seriously, and they're very serious about their rules. But yeah, let me tell you more about the compulsory gear. So you have to run without at least 2 liters water carry capacity. You have to have a space blanket, long pants, a thermal top, a jacket with a hood, a cell phone, a GPS, and some emergency food, a whistle, and maybe I left out something. But any case, that should be enough to carry you or keep you alive for about, the maximum distance was about 22 miles from one aid station to the other aid station.
Right.
So you need enough water and food for 22 miles.
So let's take a hypothetical. Let's take a hypothetical situation. Okay, you're running on this rough track at night, and you trip over and you break your leg. Have you got like a panic button which you can press and say, "Hey, I'm in trouble"?
We do. We carry spot trackers. They have a emergency button on them, which you can press and hold, and it will send out a SOS signal to the organizers. They will then dispatch, depending on where you are, how accessible, they'll make a evacuation plan how to get you out. Well, and in the worst case scenario, you still have to get yourself out to the nearest road, because some of the places are very remote and only accessible by by your 2 feet. You can't even get there with a 4-wheeler or with a motorbike or nothing. So worst case scenario, they'll send out somebody to carry you out.
Now, just for those who are joining the live stream at the moment, we're talking to Bennie Roux, who's just run one of the longest ultra marathons in the world, and he came third. An amazing man, and he's now just getting back to the Comrades for a second. Because you've run 10 Comrades, that means that your number is now for perpetuity attached to your name. Is that correct?
That is correct. And once you've ran your 10th Comrades, they actually give you a nice green...
You get a green one. Yeah.
Green number. Yeah. And you're part of the green number club. Yeah.
It's the elite club at the Comrades. Okay, now let's get back to your race that you ran just a few days ago. Okay, so tell me, what was your scariest moment in the race? Because you had 3 days.
On the first night is probably your best night. You don't get as tired on your first night. And on my first night, I was already sleepwalking. I had a pacer. I forgot to mention pacers. From mile 70, you can get a pacer. And we were still discussing, I think, grizzly bears. I don't know why, but we were talking about grizzly bears. And the next moment, I just fell down. And my pacer turned around. He was running in front of me. And he turned around and said, "What? Did you trip? What happened?" I said, "No, I didn't trip. I just blacked out for a moment. And I was lying down in the field, in the bush." Wow. And yeah, it's funny. That's how tired you get. And you basically sleepwalk. So that sleepwalking is actually very, very scary, because we run sometimes near the edge of a cliff, and if you're gonna sleepwalk near the edge of a cliff, it can be your last what can I say? You can die.
Yeah, you fall over the edge.
Yeah, it could be the end of you.
So yeah. It is really an extreme sport that you're talking about. It's not just a race.
Yeah, yes.
So what got you into this extreme sport? I mean, there must be something in your being that just says, hey, I want to do things that no one else has done. What is it that actually drives you like this?
It's probably exactly what you said there. Is I want to do stuff that nobody else does. I think I get a kick out of people saying I'm crazy, so I like it when people crazy. So that's probably the reason number one. The other reason is just I like to prove to people that normal people can do it. So yeah. Oh, I always show them pictures of how I looked before I started running, and I was almost 20 kgs heavier, and
so you had a bit of a pot belly, did you?
I did, and I like to show people that, and to inspire them to maybe not do it as extreme, but at least try and do a 10k or 21k.
Yeah,
it's always nice if people say I inspire them, or if they say I'm crazy. both is like a compliment to me.
Yeah. Now talking about that, do you do talks to people, like to inspire people? Is that part of what you do in your day-to-day life?
It's definitely something I want want to get to. So I think within the next 3 to 5 years, I want to train myself to become a better public speaker and do like motivational speaks at like schools and functions and clubs. So it's definitely something I want to grow myself into.
Well, I think that's a no-brainer with your track record. I mean, you've got amazing stories to tell. And one of the things that I've learnt when you're actually talking to the public is you always bring in that personal aspect. You talk about something that happened to you, and that kind of draws them in because you're actually making it very personal. So you've got a huge number of stories. Now, getting back to your Moab experience, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and you've got your little light on, and you're walking through this desert in Utah. How the heck do you know where you're going?
Oh yeah. Well, normally you will be on either on a road or on a single track, so you just keep on going. Most of our trail races, if there's not an arrow pointing you off the trail, you keep going straight on the trail.
What if you miss the arrow?
That happens, and for some reason, animals can take off the arrows or the wind or whatever.
So everyone's in the wrong direction.
Yes, and it happens a lot.
Wow.
It happened just now to the two front runners. And maybe I should tell you.
Yeah, tell us.
We were on it. I don't know if you know who's David Goggins.
No.
It's this famous writer of the book Can't Hurt Me. So I think you should maybe look that up. It's such an amazing book, and he's a phenomenal runner. And he was running second at the moment, or at that moment, and they both got lost because arrows wasn't there when they got there. But the thing is, if you didn't see a marker in like 500 meters, you should turn around and go back to the previous one. It's not always that easy, but you also have the track on your phone or on your watch. Right. So my watch will warn me with a vibration and a beep if I go off the track for more than like 200 meters. It will beep and go mad. So I don't get that lost when I have the track. So yeah, but having said that, it's not as easy. Sometimes the roads split and the two tracks are actually very close to each other. Your watch, the GPS isn't that good to tell you exactly take the left on the split or the right. So sometimes you end up running on the left split for about 200 meters before you realize that you should have taken the right.
Wow. So, okay, getting back to being 2 o'clock in the morning, here you are walking when you should be fast asleep and you're kind of in the semi-comatose situation. What do you think of then? I mean, it must be a really difficult place to be, to just keep on putting one foot in front of the other.
You know what? It is extremely difficult if you're not in the moment, if you're not there. So for an outsider, it will look miserable. It's cold. It is 2 a.m. in the morning. It's just impossible to think how do you carry on. But if you're there on your own and you're in the game, you're in the zone, you don't even realize. It's the same as during daytime. So it really is no difference.
Amazing. Now, you showed me that little badge that you got for finishing the race. Now, that's something that you will always treasure, that belt badge. I mean, that is just Absolutely. That's kind of like iconic for that race, isn't it?
It is. It is. Are you talking about the belt buckle?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We'll get to your trophy in a second. Well, I'm just talking about that little belt buckle. Now, okay.
Yes.
So you're on day 2. Okay, so you run for 3 days basically, and you only had just over an hour's sleep in 3 days. How the heck do you do that? I can't. I don't get it. How can you just keep running for 3 days and only have an hour's sleep? That is just nuts.
I don't know how the human body does it, but I mean, obviously we do it somehow. The guy who won, Michael McKnight, I don't even think he slept once. Although I remember he posted something on Facebook that he had a 10-minute nap in the bush. So yeah, I think he only had a 10-minute nap, maybe more. I'll check with him, but
you'll have
it
to
is
find
possible.
out.
Yeah, it is possible.
Okay, so he had a 10-minute nap over 3 days.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do 75 minutes over 3 days, and you did that.
No, it's crazy. But it is definitely possible if you put your mind to it, and if you're in a race, and if you keep yourself busy running, it is possible.
Now, your time was about 70 hours. Is that right?
That's correct.
That's absolutely amazing. So, okay, so we're coming into day 3 of the race, and you're coming towards the finishing line. How did that feel?
Yeah. Oh, man, that was during the night. I finished around about 4 a.m., so that's almost the following morning.
Yeah.
And I was completely delusional.
I can understand why.
I irritated my pacer so badly at that stage, because I kept on asking him if we're going in circles, because it feels to me that we're going in circles, and why are we here, and what am I doing here? And at some stage I told him if he doesn't have any friends with a 4x4 that can come pick us up, because I'm now done with this race. I just want to get home. Yeah. And all I could remember is he stopped responding. He didn't even answer me. He just kept on walking with a decent pace, and I was just following. My feet were in a terrible state, and going downhill on technical stuff was really painful. It was my pacer, and it was another racer. So we were lying second and third between me and him. And we had about an hour gap on the guy in fourth place.
Yeah.
And we totally lost it. We only had to kill 17 miles
only
to finish from
only,
the last.
Only 17 miles.
Only.
Jeez.
It helps when you say only.
So what happened?
To trick your brain. Okay, so what happened? We were increasing that gap until the last aid station, trying to get rid of number 4. And so we were going, and between me and Joel, that's the other runner, we were both totally out of it. He at one stage thought that we were on a guided trip. he couldn't understand why are we now doing this guided trip in the middle of the race. And he also a couple of times shouted at the pacer and said, "Why are we now here? We shouldn't be here. This isn't the correct route." And so we slowed down quite a lot. We stopped at places to take a quick breather. We didn't sleep. I was actually suggesting let's make a fire and sleep next to the road. I was totally out of it. I tell you, I was ready to quit. Okay, and then something funny happened. The guy in fourth with his pacer, we could at one stage spot them because they were running with their headlamps. So the moment I saw their headlamps coming from behind, I immediately woke up and got into a sprint. And we actually sprinted the next 2 to 3 kilometers. And I was running as if I was fresh. That was a blessing in disguise because that got me going again. And we actually raced. They caught up with me. They passed me, and we kept on running with them, just behind them, to race them. Now it's a race to the end. And but poor old Joel didn't even know what happened just there, because everybody just started sprinting and he was on his own. So what happened, that guy actually passed me there, and he went into second place, and I gave up as soon as we hit the last 3 miles on tar. I kind of gave up on him and let him take the second spot, and I couldn't even see Joel coming, and so I know I had a safe third spot, but then I didn't want to take any other chances, because a third spot and only 3 miles to go. So we pushed hard to get to the finish.
Wow. Well, look, I think anyone who can run 240 miles in 3 days is exceptional. And you, as you say, you had 75 runners from around the world who did that course in 5 days, and some of them came in on the day 4 and day 5, and that's a cut-off period. Were there people still on the course after the cut-off period?
Luckily not.
So the others have given up.
Yeah, the others have given up earlier. Yeah. So they didn't have to cut anybody from the course, and
not like
that's
the
always nice.
I think the most cruel moment in the Comrades is when they fire that gun at 12 hours. I mean, those people who are like 5 yards short, and they say, no, you didn't make it. I mean, I think that is just absolutely cruel.
It is cruel, but it's funny. I think I've times the 12-hour cutoff on TV than I've watched the winner came in. So that's quite a special moment in the race, is that cutoff.
Yeah, I suppose so. So now you've come through and you finished the race, okay, and you're in third spot. Now, what actually happens after that? I mean, you must be absolutely exhausted. You just go and lie down and catch up on some sleep, or what actually happens?
Funny thing, you can't sleep straight away. I think once you cross the finish line and everybody's there to congratulate, the adrenaline keeps you awake for another hour or so. But then you'll, I sat there around a nice fire, and people just keep on bringing you food, pizza. Yes, there were so many food choices.
Yeah.
And hot chocolate and coffee, and you just stuff yourself. And I think there was a moment that I was just lying next to the fire there on a one of those camping stools, and it was I just passed out until somebody said, no, rather go lie on a bed.
Now, is this event covered by any of the media at all?
Well, I think not
It's not
like,
covered
you
live
know,
because it's too long.
no, unfortunately it's not covered live, but it is basically covered by lots of social media streams.
Mm.
So they have a media team of photographers and people. Well, any volunteer will just quickly jump on his phone and go Facebook Live and record a part of the race.
Yeah,
So there's quite a lot of um, how can I say, personal media going around or social media going around.
yeah, because
There's not a TV team or news team covering the event.
I actually in the last day have been looking through YouTube and typing in Moab 240,
Yeah,
because that's sort of like what it's all
yeah,
about. And all I found
yeah,
was races in 2017 and 2016. There was absolutely nothing this year in there at all on YouTube.
yeah, yeah. I think the YouTube videos only get uploaded later. If you were following the race, there was quite a couple of live feeds going on.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I just haven't found them. So they're out there somewhere.
yeah,
Now, I just want
yeah.
to address those people who are watching us right now. If there are any questions you'd like to ask of Benny, please just post them in the side chat and I'll certainly put them to him. Now, Benny,
Next,
how long does it take you to recover from a race like this?
normally about 3 to 4 weeks. Then I'm back on the road and training again. But this time, I'll probably take a bit longer. Although I'm on my way back to South Africa to run a fundraiser we called Hardloop vir Hoop.
Yeah.
It's running for hope. We are going to it's a fundraiser for a trauma unit in South Africa. The trauma unit um, raise funds and they help people get through trauma, especially farmers in South Africa who went through
Farm
attacks and
Yeah.
farmers. Yeah. So, yeah, it's time for me to give back a bit. And that is from Tuesday until Saturday. So I have to get this broken body running again. But luckily, it's not a race, and it's gonna be just just a normal run at no specific race pace or something like that. I won't have to carry anything, so I'm looking forward to that. And the campaign is going quite well. We kind of already made our target, and we're now checking how much more we can get for the fund. Yeah.
Well, look, I need to tell you about an interview I had just a few days ago, live here on the channel. And I was speaking to Talita van Rooyen. You probably don't know who she is, but she was the first female jockey in South Africa who won major races. She won over 100 races. And,
wow.
She's an amazing woman. And what happened was one morning she was out running with a horse, and the horse just kind of fell from under her, and it fell on top of her and broke her back, and she's now in a wheelchair. She's stuck in a wheelchair.
Oh, no.
And she's a lovely lady, and she's the sort of person who could be quite inspirational in exactly what you're talking about here, because, you've got someone who's experienced real trauma in her life as a result of an experience that's just come out of the blue. And what I might do is I might just put you in touch with her, because
yes, please do.
I can tell you that Talita is she has had a really rough ride, and we've actually embraced her in the Loving Life community channel, and we're sort of working with her in different ways. But I will certainly put you in touch with Talita, because I think there's a lot that you could both gain from that experience.
Yeah. Okay, please do.
Okay, now, guys, are there any questions you would like to ask? Is Nikki still here? Sorry, Benny. I'm just talking to the side chat at the moment because I've got some really. I've got an amazing team here that support the channel. This channel has been a community channel for well over a year now, and we, just so you know, we work very closely in supporting minority groups and squatter camps, and we've delivered tons of food and feed to drought-stricken areas. We had a big drive about a month ago in Uppington, where we had $1.5 million rands worth of feed that was delivered to farmers, and we were working with people like Chris van Billion from Boeredroog to help, and this is what this channel is all about. It's about actually trying to get out there and helping people who are being persecuted, and there are a lot of people in South Africa who are being persecuted. I don't see Nikki here at the moment. Okay. Well, I have a special message for Nikki and Marlena, but I'm not going to say it until they're both online. Nico and Marlena have been absolutely stalwarts of this channel for many, many months. Now, getting back to your trip. Okay, so you're traveling home and you've got this trauma thing that you're going to be involved in. Does that include running a long way again?
Yes, it actually does. Luckily, it's not that long per day. The longest day will be about 50 k's, and the shortest day about 30 k's. So it's not that long per day, and I'll just nurse myself through it because I'm committed to do that, and can't pull out now.
So when is that race?
Well, it starts on Tuesday. Tuesday morning. I'm not 100% sure how early, but Tuesday morning we start.
But you only get back into South Africa on Monday.
I know.
So how are you going to do that? You won't. I know what it's like when you fly. You can't sleep, so you'll be sleep deprived before you even start this race.
I know, but being sleep deprived doesn't scare me anymore.
I've got to say,
right. The moment,
I've got to say you're an extraordinary man because I love my sleep, and I often take cat naps during the day because I sometimes get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to do the live streams at 8 p.m. Johannesburg time.
Okay, no, I also love my sleep, and cat naps and power naps. I do take them.
Yeah, they're very important, aren't they?
But the moment I put my shoes on and I run, I could be dead tired, but I'll be running.
Now I have a question for you here from Teresa. It says, how much weight do the runners lose over 3 days?
Oh, it depends, but some of them lose quite a lot, and at some races they do weigh you in at aid stations, and if you lost more than 10% of your body weight, they will pull you out of the race. So I think that 10% is quite a scary number.
That's a huge number.
Because obviously, you will only lose. I think the thing that you burn most is, the thing that you mostly lose is water. So, and that means you're dehydrated, and that is actually life-threatening, and very. You shouldn't be dehydrated. You can die.
Yeah.
You don't really lose that much muscle and fat and all that, and even if you do, you pick it up the day after the race by eating a lot of pizzas and junk food.
Yeah. Now talking about food and nutrition, what's your diet? I mean, I think you have a very special diet, don't you?
Well, I've tried them all. I've tried going vegan, vegetarian, keto, the caveman diet, Tim Noakes diet. I've tried all of them. Having a family and kids in the house does make it difficult because my wife already has to cook different meals for the different kids.
Yeah.
Everything. And so it was just becoming too difficult to keep up with. So I would like to try it one day again, but at this moment I eat everything in moderation. But I do try to just stay away from junk, stay away from
McDonald's.
Sugar and McDonald's, exactly. So anything else is good.
Well, look, I have to say to you, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I know it's after 1 o'clock in the morning where you are, and I know you just don't seem to worry about whatever time of the day it is, but you have to get some sleep because you're going to be catching a plane in the next 24 hours, and you'll be on your way to South Africa, and you'll have probably 48 hours sleep deprived again, and then you got the race on Tuesday. But look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you in touch with Talita, that lady I talked about, who was the top jockey who had that accident, because I think she could be a really interesting person who could be involved in this trauma thing, because clearly if you've got your back broken and you're in a wheelchair,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a traumatic situation. And if you look at her history, she's a fantastic woman. So I'll do that.
Okay.
And if you wouldn't mind speaking to Zola Bud, and look, I will put my email. You've got my email address, haven't you?
Yeah.
If you could just ask Zola to contact me, because I would love to have a conversation with her, because look, as someone who ran the distances she ran, and not these absolutely crazy distances you run. I mean, my top distance was about 10 kilometers, and then I thought, wow, that was cool. 240 miles, you've got to be joking. So I think Zola and I probably have a closer affinity when it comes to those sort of distances.
You do know that Zola ran the Comrades a few years back, like 3 years back.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
It's quite amazing.
Oh, look, I just loved her story, and when that stupid American woman with a forgettable name did what she did, Decker, she decked herself, and then she blamed Zola. I just thought, and I've always felt I would love to just have a conversation with her about her life, because it would be absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Fantastic. All right, guys, look, I've really enjoyed this conversation with Bennie. I mean, what a remarkable man. Came third in an international ultra marathon, first in the ultra marathons in South Africa, and you'll notice he kind of didn't even mention that when he was talking about them, and quite extraordinary. Look, I know what it's like to run 10Ks, and I was a good runner, but to run those sort of distances takes guts, sheer guts, and that is absolutely amazing. Mate, look, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Is there anything you'd like to say to the people watching this video, or who might watch it later?
I hope I inspired them to start running.
I'm sure you did. And for those people who've been watching and those who've been moderating, thank you, guys. It's been fantastic to have you on board, and this might get you up and running. And Michelle says, well done and congrats, Bennie. You've made South Africa proud. And I think that's basically the feeling that everybody on this channel has. right. Look, I'm sure we're going to catch up in the future. But I will, as I said, I will give you Talita's contact, so you can contact her and just say hi. And yeah, if you wouldn't mind speaking to Zola, that'd be fantastic.
Cool. Thanks.
Oh,
Thanks for the
Nikki!
chat. I enjoyed it.
Okay, sorry. Before we go, I see Nikki's here. Nikki, welcome back. Now, I have a special announcement, guys, and I only ever make it when that person is on the live stream. And I'm so pleased that Nikki's here. And there's another lady that's not here, but I will be making the announcement for her very shortly. Nikki, guess what? You've just become a hero on the Loving Life channel. Congratulations, our latest Loving Life hero. And just so you're aware, Benny, Nikki is involved in establishing a whole series of plan Bs for people in minority groups who need to look at getting out of their cities or something like that. So that we've got these little enclaves that have been setting up, and it's becoming quite popular now, but Nikki's doing a fantastic job in that area. So congratulations, Nikki. You're our newest Loving Life hero. And what a time to announce it, because we've got a hero that I've been talking to with his amazing running capability, and he's probably ready for bed, so I'm not going to keep him up any longer. I'm just going to say, guys, look, please stay safe. I know it's about, getting up to 9:30 in the morning in South Africa. It's 5:30 in the afternoon here in Brisbane, Australia, and it's 1:30 in the morning where Benny is, and he needs some sleep. So without any further ado, I'm going to be shutting this live stream down. Benny, please take care, and it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
Thanks. Bye.